Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Friday, March 15th, 2024. In Western Uganda, the creativity of a local inventor is catching lots of people's attention, including some local celebrities. Learn more about the purpose behind this unique vehicle. And these crocheted squares from a senior center in Spain have turned into a community-wide project that's building bonds and breaking records. In the new Earth, we're learning more about our ability to interact with water. Does water have its own consciousness? And if so, how can we communicate with it? And we're taking a closer look at the healing potential of sound frequencies, a natural way to improve our mental, emotional, and physical well-being.
This is Calen, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. In Western Uganda, a creative local inventor designed a unique vehicle specifically tailored for celebrations. UNN field messenger Arineitwe Jackline interviews the creator of this remarkable vehicle.
Arineitwe Jackline, UNN field messenger, reporting from Mbarara, Western Uganda. Today, I'm going to share with the world about a young man here in Western Uganda. He is an innovator, Mr. Nkaheza. He has been doing many things. He came out with an idea of making a vehicle. It is his own idea, and he started from scratch. He made a vehicle, as you see in the video, and this vehicle is moving. It is working in good condition. He always hires this vehicle to the public for functions like birthday parties, graduations, wedding, and recently he rocked the world by being hired by the first son of the family, President of Uganda.
Congratulations, you're so amazing. It's so amazing that I freed that two part one we have been seeing there on social media, but all this I don't know how can I explain more about it, but it's God's wish.
People have been hiring this car on the function parties. It makes even rallies for the president and the son, the president of Uganda. It is so amazing that I have met you, Nkaheza. It is so amazing. It is so great. Yeah, you beat the world.
Yeah, good evening, my fans. My name is Nkaheza Joseph, innovator. I'm in Bara City. I'm really happy. Thank you all for being with us and supporting us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nkaheza. Yes. We would like to see more news from you.
Simple activity of a group of women crocheting together at a senior center unexpectedly evolved into a community-wide initiative. UNN field messenger Emma shows us the final result of this important project.
Hi, this is field messenger Emma, reporting from Fuerteventura. And this is a story about bringing people together. In a small city here in Fuerteventura, it's a place called Pájara. A group of older ladies from the senior center have been cooperating on a project since the pandemic. Together they started crocheting what is called granchilos, or granny squares in English, and turned them into what could become the highest crocheted Christmas tree in the world. These older ladies met at the senior center every day and started crocheting colorful granny squares and turned them into nice blankets. This was a project that the elder ladies really liked, and they brought them together in a social way. The leader of the senior center encouraged them to engage in the project. The elders liked the engagement and continued even after the pandemic was over. This led to the idea of crocheting a big Christmas tree. So when the idea was presented to the local government, they supported it, and a committee was put down to make the dream come true. Suddenly the whole community was engaged, and it brought more and more people together. The whole project group dedicated about 9 months of work to finish the project. A group of older ladies, they crocheted in total 10,000 multicolored pieces of granny squares to finish the project. 10,000. One group worked on the design of the project, and another group designed and produced the metal frame for the Christmas tree. And this amazing crocheted Christmas tree is 22 meters high and 8 meters wide, which is 72 feet high and 26 feet wide. And it could become the largest crocheted Christmas tree in the world. It will exceed the current world record from Portugal that was like 7.5 meters or 57 feet. So this is such a good example of how a good idea can accelerate into a project that brings the whole community together.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
As we transition into the new Earth, we're learning more about the power of consciousness, our own consciousness, as well as the consciousness of other organic beings. And as we explore, we're finding lots of incredible things we never knew were possible, such as our ability to communicate with water. Veda Austin is a water researcher who has dedicated the last 10 years observing and photographing the life of water. She believes water is fluid intelligence, observing itself through every living organism on the planet and in the universe. So we have the pleasure of Veda joining us today. Veda, we're so excited to have you here on our news. And Veda's been studying the consciousness of water. And Veda, I know you're going to tell us a lot about this in future segments that we do. But for today, I really just wanted to learn more about your journey and how you got into this to discover the consciousness of water.
Well, absolutely, and thank you so much for having me. I had a horrendous experience about 25 years ago where I was in a very, very serious car accident. We went under a 7-ton truck, rolled twice, and the driver died instantly. Over the course of 25 years, I had 8 surgeries on my last surgery, I woke up. I went in for bowel surgery, and I woke up and the doctors were hovering around me, and they said, well, you didn't recover very well. You have showers of blood clots in your lungs, and you're going to have to be on warfarin, which is a blood thinner, possibly for the rest of your life. I was very young, very healthy, very fit, and very concerned that that had happened to me. So I was told I would die if I didn't do this, so I did it for 3 months. Then I had an x-ray, and they said, look, we can see that it's all clear, but we want you to continue doing this. Everyone's journey is their own journey. And this is not me saying that people should do what I did at all, but I decided that my body knew how to heal. And so I started to talk to people in the natural health arena, and I spoke to a friend who was a medical doctor and practiced Ayurvedic medicine, and he said, off the record, if you find a naturally high source of alkaline water, then that might help your body come back into balance. So I thought, that's very simple. Just drinking naturally alkaline water can't be that hard. So I started trialing myself on 2-week trials of naturally alkaline water. By natural, I mean that it wasn't ionized. It wasn't machine-made, for example. So I ended up finding a beautiful water that came out of a very deep aquifer. Its pH out of the ground was 9.9, which is extremely high. And the person who owned this aquifer was only giving it to cancer patients. So I went and told him my story. He gave me a month worth of water to drink. On day 3, I noticed a very big change in something so many people don't want to talk about, which is bowel motions, but we live in constipated nations, you know. So there are too many people sitting on the toilet trying to push out a pebble for an hour, and that's really not normal. And so I noticed a positive change there. On day 10, I started noticing some bumps coming up along my arm and jaw that were really painful. And as gross as this sounds, there was one that just got so angry. I ended up feeling like there was something in there. So I got some tweezers and I dug into my arm and I pulled out this little bit of green glass. Between day 10 and 12, I pulled out 27 pieces of green glass that had been embedded in my body since the car accident 20 or so years ago. And so I was wondering how that wasn't possible, how on earth that was possible, given that the only thing I'd changed in my diet or in my life was drinking that naturally alkaline water. What made that water special? That then led me on to this journey of inquiry. I was thinking, well, what's in the water? So when you look at an analysis, you read about what the water holds. But what do we actually learn about what water is? And that's where I became more of an investigative kind of spiritual seeker, I suppose, in that I was thinking, well, you know, Nikola Tesla, he says, if you want to know the secrets to the universe, look at frequency, energy, and vibration. And I was thinking, well, how can I know those things about water? So I began asking this question, what is water? So I got a petri dish, put some of the water that helped heal me into it, and I thought, well, I'm going to do something like Emoto's work. I'm just going to project a thought and see what happened. Zero attachment to any outcome whatsoever. Holding the dish, looking at the water, there's a bit of fluff floating around in there. So I put my hand in to take out the fluff, consciously thinking, I wonder if my hand will have any impact on the water's quote-unquote memory, because I didn't know if that was a real thing or not. I thought, well, that thought will do. I put it into the freezer, the peas and broccoli and everything, froze it, pulled it out, and I held it up to the light after it had been completely frozen for like 3 hours. And I took my very first photo of what is now nearly 50,000 photos of water responding in an intelligent way. What was in the dish was a very clear image of a hand that looked like an X-ray of a hand. And when we did a survey of 25 photos and simply asked, what does this image look like to you? What does this picture look like to you? We had 297 people do the blind survey, not even knowing what they were looking at. And 85% of people were able to recognize the ice images for what the influence was, and 100% of people were able to recognize the hand image for what the influence was.
In today's rapidly evolving world, the quest for mental, emotional, and physical well-being has led many to explore the therapeutic potential of sound frequencies. Distinct frequencies, often categorized under the umbrella of solfeggio frequencies, are believed to have unique healing properties, capable of inducing positive changes in our health and consciousness. For instance, 528 Hertz, widely known as the love frequency, is celebrated for its miraculous healing properties, promoting peace and blessings. Similarly, 432 Hertz aims to improve mental clarity and spiritual development, making it popular amongst those seeking to deepen their meditation practices. 396 Hertz is also used to alleviate fear and guilt, promoting a sense of peace and well-being. By integrating these frequencies into daily routines through activities such as listening to frequency-based music or meditation sessions, people worldwide are accessing a tool that bridges the gap between modern science and ancient wisdom. This form of sound therapy does not just address specific ailments, but also contributes to overall well-being, offering a harmonious blend of psychological, physical, and spiritual healing accessible to anyone, anywhere. Well, you've probably heard of grounding shoes before, shoes that help you connect with the Earth's natural frequency. But what about barefoot shoes? Barefoot shoes offer a great alternative to traditional footwear for experiencing the benefits of barefoot walking in daily life. These types of shoes are designed to help you correct and adjust your posture, distribute your weight evenly, and improve the natural way you walk. These shoes also mimic the feeling of walking barefoot while still providing protection and support for your feet. One main distinction between barefoot shoes and the regular ones is the wider toe box, enabling natural toe movement for improved balance, stability, and foot muscle strength. Barefoot shoes also have thinner soles, allowing for more sensory feedback from the ground. This helps improve our natural awareness of our feet in relation to our spine and the earth. Wearing barefoot shoes can help correct imbalances or issues caused by traditional footwear, such as weakened arches, tight calf muscles, and improper foot placement. Incorporating barefoot shoes into your routine can bring many health benefits. Next time you shop for shoes, try a pair of barefoot shoes to experience the difference. Well, whether you're wearing shoes or going barefoot, dance as a form of expression and exercise offers numerous benefits that extend far beyond the physical. Dancing is an effective way to tone and strengthen the body while maintaining a healthy weight. It also increases oxygen intake and releases endorphins, which enhance cognitive functions and sharpen mental health. Dancing can boost overall health, improving blood pressure and insulin levels. Unlike standard workouts, dance can provide enjoyable full-body exercise with less fatigue than other high-intensity programs. When done in a group, dance can become revitalizing, fun instead of hard work, usually leaving the dancers feeling uplifted. One of the best parts about dancing is its accessibility and cost-effectiveness. You can dance anywhere, at home, alone, or with your friends, and to any music you love. Dancing isn't just fun, it is a pathway to real health improvements. There's a dance style for everyone, each with the potential for improved physical fitness and personal growth. So, shall we dance? We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta,
in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, You are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. Now, a look at regional stories around the world. European farmers ramp up their protests against strict environmental regulations, destroying their livelihood. But their demonstrations are also disrupting traffic and causing other issues for locals. The EU passes the European Media Freedom Act, which claims to protect journalists from having to disclose their sources. The Republic of Chad is helping citizens ease the impact of an energy crisis by providing free water and electricity for the remainder of the year. And several major U.S. companies are outed for not paying their fair share of income taxes.
Yeah, I can hear you, Tim.
Farmers across Europe have intensified their protests against what they perceive as overly stringent environmental regulations. These demonstrations have notably disrupted traffic around Antwerp, Europe's second largest port, and 2 other Belgian harbors, impacting daily commutes and port operations. The farmers argue current environmental policies aimed at reducing air and soil pollution to meet global sustainability targets are pushing them toward financial ruin. These policies are seen as unfairly targeting the agricultural sector while neglecting industrial contributions to environmental degradation. Last week's escalation in Poland, marked by clashes between farmers and law enforcement, and the recent tensions in Belgium, highlight the growing unrest among the EU's agricultural community. These protests have led to some policy changes by governments and the EU, sparking debate among environmentalists. Denmark has announced plans to extend conscription to women and lengthen the service period for all conscripts or draftees from 4 to 11 months. The Danish Prime Minister says the decision is a precautionary measure to avoid conflict rather than preparing for war. This change, expected to take effect in 2026, aims to ensure full equality between genders in the military service and enhance security. The announcement has sparked discussions around the impact of young women, as all physically fit individuals older than 18 may soon be required to serve, ending the current voluntary-based system. The defense minister emphasized the necessity of adapting to a more serious security environment in Europe, indicating a need for a more versatile defense force. The move mirrors actions taken by neighboring Sweden and Norway, which have also introduced gender-neutral conscription in recent years due to security concerns. The European Parliament has passed the European Media Freedom Act, aimed at increasing journalistic independence across the European Union. This regulation prohibits agencies from compelling journalists to disclose sources, safeguarding the confidentiality vital for investigative reporting. However, opponents remain concerned this additional protection reduces accountability since the source has complete anonymity. While originally contested, the law omits national security exceptions, but allows for spyware usage on journalists solely under stringent circumstances and judicial oversight. It also mandates transparency in public media governance and equitable advertising fund distribution amongst states, preventing preferential treatment. The act also forces social media platforms to notify news outlets before restricting content, ensuring fair discourse. The UK government has announced plans to prohibit foreign state ownership of its newspapers and magazines. This legislative shift, sparked by widespread calls from politicians, aimed to safeguard media freedom against undue influence from state actors. The proposed legislation, embedded within the Digital Markets, Competition and Consumers Bill, aims to prevent the acquisition of the Telegraph Media Group by a United Arab Emirates-led consortium. Critics argue government ownership of media entities directly threatens press independence, a sentiment echoed across the journalistic community. This legislative action reflects broader concerns over press freedom and the influence of external political entities on UK media, alongside ongoing investigations into the takeover's potential effects. A report from the UK's Competition and Markets Authority suggests the nation's 16 million pet owners could be overpaying for pet health care. A major issue is the complexity of pricing strategies in the veterinarian industry, which often leaves pet owners unaware of actual costs of treatments, tests, and surgeries. About 80% of veterinary practices do not publicize their fees online, and a significant number of pet owners were unaware they could purchase medicines elsewhere at a lower cost. This situation is aggravated by the consolidation of vet practices under large corporate groups, limiting competition and choices for pet care services. The report is calling for urgent reforms to the regulatory framework governing the veterinarian industry to protect both pets and their owners from unnecessary financial strain. A concerning issue known as school jet lag is increasingly affecting children's sleep patterns, causing reduced sleep quality and daytime sleepiness. Doctors suggest it's a result of daily stress and poor sleep habits, worsened by excessive schoolwork and screen time before bed. The primary cause of school jet lag is the light from the screens, which disrupts the body's circadian rhythm by tricking the brain into thinking it is still daylight. This, along with intensive after-school activities, contributes to a delay in the secretion of melatonin, the hormone responsible for sleep, thereby interfering with children's ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. School jet lag hampers children's ability to learn and concentrate, and is also linked to emotional disturbances, obesity, high blood pressure, and increased cardiovascular risk. Experts warn against using the bed for activities other than sleep, such as watching TV or reading, to create better sleep habits from a young age. South Africa says any of its citizens fighting with the Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, in the Gaza conflict will face arrest upon their return. Additionally, IDF members holding dual nationality would be deprived of their South African citizenship as a punitive measure. This announcement indicates South Africa's commitment to preventing its citizens from engaging in what it sees as illegal activity under both domestic and international law. The conflict has tragically resulted in more than 31,000 deaths, mostly amongst women and children, and has led to severe humanitarian challenges. Reports indicate up to 85% of Gaza's population is displaced, with many facing starvation. This escalating situation has further strained Israel-South Africa relations, given South Africa's historically strong support for Palestinian sovereignty. In the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, escalating violence has displaced more than 250,000 people in just the past month. Conflicts involving more than 120 armed groups fighting for control over the region's resources have resulted in mass displacements, with an estimated 7 million people affected. The city of Goma has become a sanctuary for many fleeing the violence, although it struggles with limited resources to support its swelling population. Civilians, despite not being the intended targets of the M23 rebel group, the most prominent group with alleged ties to Rwanda, find themselves caught in the crossfires and blockades, depriving them of safety, necessities, and humanitarian aid. The international community's efforts to provide aid are hindered by the sheer scale of displacement and a lack of security, leaving countless individuals in dire need. In northern Nigeria, more than 280 students and staff were kidnapped from a school in Kaduna State. This marked the country's first mass kidnapping since 2021. The captors have issued a ransom demand of approximately $620,000 for the collective release of those taken. This demand sets a daunting ultimatum of 20 days, threatening the lives of the hostages should the sum not be met. The community is under immense stress as the sum demanded far exceeds the annual income average in Nigeria, putting immense pressure on the families affected and the nation at large. Authorities are currently exploring options with a firm stance against conceding to the kidnappers' financial demands, reflecting the government's broader policy against fueling the cycle of kidnappings. The Republic of Chad is providing free water and electricity to its citizens until the end of the year to ease the impact of a recent energy crisis. Consumption must not exceed 300 kilowatts of electricity and 15 cubic meters or almost 4,000 gallons of water per month. This decision follows weeks where many in the country's capital experienced frequent supply cuts, leaving them without essential services. In a move to further support its residents, the government will also cover unpaid utility bills. To mitigate the effects of rising fuel prices, a 50% cut in various taxes on passenger transport has been announced, potentially lowering the cost of transportation. Coming 2 months before the presidential election, this initiative by the transitional government aims to alleviate the burdens faced by the citizens amid economic challenges. Cocoa processing plants in Ivory Coast and Ghana, the world's top cocoa producers, are shutting down or reducing operations. The inability to afford cocoa beans due to skyrocketing prices led to a sharp decline in production. This situation has led to an increase in chocolate prices globally, impacted further by the consecutive poor harvests during the past 3 years and an anticipated fourth year. The sharp rise in cocoa prices, which have doubled in the last year, is disrupting global trade and leading to shortages for chocolate manufacturers. This unprecedented scenario is expected to cause global cocoa stocks to plummet to their lowest in 45 years, further influencing chocolate availability and prices. This situation impacts chocolate production and places a significant financial strain on cocoa farmers, local dealers, and the broader communities dependent on the cocoa industry for their livelihood. The Great Barrier Reef, an environmental treasure of Australia, faces another severe bleaching event, marking its 5th occurrence in just 8 years. This alarming frequency has sparked concern amongst coral experts and environment authorities about the survival of the reef and its ability to recover. The most recent bleaching has severely impacted the southern region of the reef, with predictions of significant coral loss, including ancient corals that have survived for centuries. The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority emphasized the reef's remarkable ability to bounce back under the right conditions, but warned that repeated bleaching severely compromises recovery efforts. The repeated bleaching poses a significant threat to the marine ecosystem and the local communities reliant on the reef for livelihoods, such as tourism and fishing. In Israel, a growing number of young people are refusing military service, citing ideological, health, and religious reasons. This trend has been especially noted amongst those opposed to the occupation of Palestinian territories and the treatment of Palestinians within Israel. In 2016, 28% of eligible conscripts sought exemptions, a figure that increased to 31.4% in 2021. The refusal to serve, driven by conscientious objection and health reasons, can come with significant personal costs, including imprisonment and social exclusion. Despite these challenges, some find support within their families and communities, suggesting a complex landscape of resistance and acceptance within Israeli society. However, with Israel's political landscape shifting further to the right, societal tolerance for such decisions may be diminishing. In India, a new citizenship law has sparked widespread protests across the country. The Citizenship Amendment Act offers a fast track to citizenship for migrants from specific religious communities from Afghanistan, Bangladesh, or Pakistan, but notably excludes Muslims. This decision has led to widespread demonstrations across the country, particularly in the northeastern states. The law, which reduces the residency requirement for citizenship from 12 years to 6 for eligible migrants, could naturalize nearly 30,000 people. Critics, including major opposition parties and activists, argue that the law discriminates based on religion and violates India's secular constitution. Despite the controversies and the claim that the law targets Muslims, the Indian government maintains that it is a humanitarian effort to assist persecuted minorities. Hundreds of investors in China are struggling with significant financial losses after Sichuan Trust, a major financial institution, failed to repay debts totaling $3.5 billion. The company faces an investigation led by provincial government and banking regulators. Despite the company's announcement to return funds on a sliding scale, protests have erupted as investors, particularly the elderly, face severe hardship. Many had invested life savings, attracted by significantly higher interest rates compared to traditional savings accounts. Now, faced with substantial losses, they struggle with everyday expenses and medical bills, having to rely on borrowing to survive. Amidst this financial unrest, police detained several protesters and allegedly harassed investors seeking their funds back. A recent watchdog report in the U.S. highlights a significant gap between corporate taxes and executive compensation, sparking debate over fairness and economic equity. Netflix, for example, awarded $652 million to its top 5 executives, while only contributing $236 million in federal income taxes. First Energy and Duke Energy also demonstrated a similar pattern, prioritizing executive compensation over federal tax contributions. Critics argue that while these corporations legally mitigate their tax obligations through available credits and deductions, the burden of taxation may shift to the general public and smaller businesses that lack similar resources. While companies claim adherence to tax laws and argue that their investments benefit the community, the disparity raises questions about the equitable distribution of tax burdens and its impact on ordinary taxpayers. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a bill to potentially ban TikTok, giving its Chinese owner ByteDance 6 months to sell its U.S. operations. This legislation responds to worries over the influence of Chinese technology in the U.S., spanning from artificial intelligence to social media platforms. This decision has sparked bipartisan approval and affects nearly 170 million Americans. TikTok CEO warned that the legislation could not only lead to the app's ban, but also significantly impact the earnings of creators and small businesses. For many, TikTok is not just an app for entertainment, but a substantial source of income, supporting families and funding education. The issue has also stirred a considerable public response, with TikTok offices receiving numerous calls from users opposing the bill, and dozens of TikTok enthusiasts rallying outside Capitol to voice their concerns. Dollar Tree, a prominent discount retailer, announced a shocking loss for the fourth quarter, prompting plans to close approximately 1,000 stores. This decision comes after the company reevaluated the acquisition of the Family Dollar chain in 2015, a move which has since proved challenging. The company reported a significant fourth quarter loss of $1.71 billion, a stark contrast to the profit made the year before. The closures, which include 600 Family Dollar stores and 400 stores across both brands, are part of an effort to recuperate losses and streamline operations. For consumers, especially those relying on Dollar Tree for affordable shopping amidst rising inflation, the store closures could limit access to low-cost goods.
Tired of being programmed? At United Network, you'll discover the truth about what's really happening on our planet. Get instant access to our written news, UNN newscasts, world situation reports, and in-depth stories from our field messengers. Manifest your amazing abilities as we explore the new Earth. Plus, original series to inspire and encourage you throughout your day. Get connected through United Chat, our personal chat room where you can join the conversation, share your experience, and also submit your questions for Kim. Watch United Network at home or on the go through your computer, favorite online streaming program, or mobile apps.
Welcome to United Network News.
Start your free trial today. UnitedNetwork.Earth, bringing people together.
And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Today is the Ides of March, but is it really? Find out what the dying deep state had planned for today. The upcoming solar eclipse on April 8th is approaching, and rumors are swirling all over social media. Find out what you can expect on that day. Don't buy into the fear. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hi, Kim. How are you?
Doing well. What a day.
What a day. I hear we've got lots of news to get to in today's report.
Happy Ides of March.
Is it? It reminds me of like Julius Caesar and, knives.
Well, there was a lot of things that happened today. So we're going to get a little bit of a history lesson on today's news. And we're going to tell you why the deep state is patiently awaiting an alien arrival.
Of course, again.
I know. But, this is actually really good information for us to get a better understanding of what actually happened on this day.
Okay.
And why they were waiting for it. So it's been exactly 1 year today that the Emerald Order Covenant expired a year early.
Okay.
Now, that's just because of a natural progression of things as the cleaning had gone on and all the things that had happened by that point, we could actually expire it early so that we could continue the cleanup process.
Good. Okay.
However, exactly 250,000 years ago today, one of the largest wars that ever happened on Earth ended. Okay. Now let's talk about the war first, and this way we can kind of understand sort of how we got here and why the deep state thought that something special was going to happen today. So around 250,000 years ago, plus about a century, there was a war here on Earth. Now, at the time, we had 5 human tribes on Earth, and the population of Earth was around 8 billion people, almost as it is today.
Right.
The war was not necessarily between humans. The war here was actually between 5 different groups of people. Now, at the time of this war, for quite a long time, about 200,000 years before the war, the Red Queen, which we've talked about before, which was the lower astral being, was actually the ruler of Earth, the sole ruler of Earth for 200,000 years. Remember, we're still in the Dark Ages, even though we go back that far.
Right.
We could call her the anti-Pleiadian queen. And Earth, of course, was in the Dark Age and ruled by darkness, so therefore we had a dark queen. About 100 250,000 years ago today, the anti-Pleiadian queen officially lost her crown. And Earth was divided between 5 different beings. So the ownership of Earth split up 5 different ways so that each group had a different territory. Mm-hmm. So the war went on for about 100 years here, and it was between the Draco and the anti-Draco, because remember, as above, so is below. Mm-hmm. The Abraxas and somewhat the humans on Earth, and the Pleiadians and the anti-Pleiadians. Now, let's talk about each group a little bit so you can figure out who was fighting. So the Draco on the light side, I guess you would say on this side of the multiverse, were fighting with the Draco on the other side of the multiverse. The Abraxas, well, the anti-humans, the Abraxas, were also fighting with the humans that used to inhabit the galaxy around the star Aldebaran, as we know it. And the Pleiadians, which are humanoids, or were humanoids, there's very few left, but the Pleiadians, or the humanoids, humans 1.0, much taller, they look a lot like the Alcyon humanoids, and the anti-Pleiadians began to fight. So the war lasted quite a long time. There was a lot of damage on Earth. A lot of the inhabitants of Earth went underground. That's how we have inner Earth and the worlds that were inside Earth and still are to this day, where the different species went that were here at the time. But by the end of the war, which is exactly 250,000 years ago today, the groups agreed to split the ownership of Earth of the anti-Draco. So we have Enki, Enlil, and Marduk, anti. And we have the Abraxas and the Red Queen. So they split the Earth 5 ways. But not only was the Earth at stake, it was also the Aldebaran star system and galaxy as well. The Tagetia in the Pleiades star. And that's how they have the invasion of the Tagethians, which were not originally evil. We also have, those are the humanoids, by the way. The original humanoids came from that star system that fought here. Alpha Draconis, that's kind of a given. That's the Draconian galaxy. Through the Orion Nebula, the Red Queen also brought in her reptiles. We know the evil reptilians that also destroyed Mars. And also through Proxima Centauri. So there were several different star systems that were at stake for ownership as part of the end of this war. Now, interesting little fact. So the end of the war was officially at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time last night.
It's interesting, Central Standard Time.
I know. Well, for whatever reason, it was what it was, I guess. But there is a little bit more to that, because by today at 11:59 a.m. Central Standard Time in the Ozarks, the official seal was placed on Earth. Now,
yeah, what's the seal?
The official seal looks, it looks almost like a black goo sun. It was underground. The base point for it was the Tom Sauk Mountain in Missouri, spelled Taum space Sauk. And then it branched out throughout the entire Ozark region of the United States. So you can look up where the Ozarks are if you don't know where they are. Missouri, tiny part of Kansas, Alabama. It's a fairly sizable region of the country. So that was the official seal, which then connected to a gateway in 0 Point Earth, which then connected to all of the star systems we talked about, which then allowed for a direct gateway between the lower astral beings that won the war and all of those galaxies. And this is how we ended up with the permeation through the fifth density. Yeah, this is how it all started. And today, it officially all ended. So even though the covenant expired early and it allowed us to clean up a lot, it didn't necessarily end all of the space junk and the permeation officially until today. So,
was that a lot of stuff that still needed to be dealt with?
It was just officially we were able to remove the seal. And we're going to go back to also, so we've been cleaning all morning for sure. But while the deep state actually sits there staring at screens and hoping for a signal from somewhere, well, there's something to it. So we'll continue on here to talk about the effects this had on humans. So, and how it ties to the upcoming solar eclipse. So that's pretty much today. That's what ended today. It is also what, I guess you would say, began today a long time ago. So shortly thereafter, there was an eclipse that took place around 24 days or so after the sealing of the agreement, which is very similar to what's happening this year. And this is why they're all excited about their situation. And I was discussing this with a friend of mine. Do you remember when we were kids, Sonny, and there was a solar eclipse or a lunar eclipse, and we would make these makeshift boxes and whatever else to watch the eclipse, and it was a cool experience. But never before did we really have, stock up on food, we're all going to die, days of darkness, all of these types of things. Well, they're putting out the fear based on what happened next. So at that time, 250,000 years ago, during the solar eclipse that followed, there was actually 3 days of darkness as the gateways were installed in the sun and, the permeation started happening. So there was some truth to what their belief system, but remember, they're going off knowledge, old knowledge, and not wisdom. Times have changed. So there also was a human genocide event that took place. And I would say we went from around 8 billion or so humans on Earth at the time, down to about 500 million humans.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's kind of what the Georgia Guidestones indicated, right?
Well, and it served as a reminder too, and a threat. Yeah. So if the humans ever went against the covenant, then that would be a threat. That was basically something looming over everybody's head, to stay in line. So that's when the first time humans became completely and totally enslaved. And we were slaves ever since. The other thing that happened after the signing of the agreement on this day is that the 5 different parties that owned Earth began interbreeding with the 5 tribes of Earth, which then created what we now know today as the Illuminati, the Order, the Deep State, the SSP, the Black Nobility, the Abraxas lines, And this began the Merovingian lines on Earth. So those are the people that we're still painfully dealing with, let's just say dealing with, ever since. But since that covenant is no longer in place and their respective aliens didn't come back today, they're still kind of in stunned mode, because at the time of this recording, it's only been about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes since the event did not happen that they were expecting. So I don't know what they're going to do from here on out, but no one is coming back. I can assure you of that, mainly because none of these species actually exist anymore. No one is going to try to reclaim Earth except for Source, in which the declaration was already filed. Source now owns Earth. I still am guardian. And the new agreement actually lists me as guardian. And it lists all my names. It's the long list. All the names I've had.
Names. Oh, you mean names like from previous lifetimes?
Yeah.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, list all my names going all the way back to the beginning of all the times I've been here. So, yeah, so I'm sure they got that information by now. I'm sure this is making them very unhappy. But I think what they were expecting, now this is just a guess based on chatter, because I've heard a lot of talk about a lot of potential planes going down. They're talking about different things that could possibly have happened. Now, are these things they were planning on doing? I know that they were expecting some orders on what to do now, now that that covenant expired. Possibly if the 5 groups, because they were expecting all 5 to come back and either continue the current ownership of Earth is what they were thinking. If they couldn't agree, would there be another alien invasion or a war? These are discussions that they're having amongst themselves. And meanwhile, we're sitting over here on our side going, what are you talking about? That was last year. You know, no one came, no one fought, no one argued. But, you know, there was some, like I said, the seal was still here, binding Earth itself to the 5 different groups throughout all timelines.
Was that actually, Kim, a visual seal? Could people actually see that, or is this etherical?
No, it's not something you could see. It is underground. It was underground. So, yes. There, if you knew where to go in the Ozarks, you could actually see it. It was fairly large. Could they see it by using a satellite? Possibly, you know, because they have satellites now that can go down to 5 kilometers. Okay. It was predominantly made of large amounts in an interesting shape, black goo. With a large timeline crystal, very large, and they would have been able to see a transmission coming from here, going to the other star systems and also to the lower astral. So if it was like the SSP and they had that kind of equipment, possibly DARPA, possibly NORAD could have seen a signal coming from there, which is no longer there.
Okay.
So now they don't know what to do because their masters, so to speak, didn't come back.
I've never seen someone so eager to have masters. Do you know what I mean? It's like they view it as a good thing. I'm like, why would you want someone over you to manage you like that? And to, you know, it's like they're okay with being slaves.
Because they're family. Oh, remember, they're inbreds. They're
lovely.
Yeah, that's family. It's like a family reunion of sorts they were expecting today, apparently, to try to tell them what's next.
Yeah.
Because that's it.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Well, sooner or later, they'll probably get a copy of the agreement that expired and what replaced it. Nobody hired them to manage the property, lords of the land, so to speak, hence the term Lord Rothschild, Lord this, Lord that, lords of the land. Mm-hmm. So no, that's all that happened, as far as they're concerned at this point. They'll figure it out, maybe. I don't know. But no, they're no longer the lords of the land. Haven't been for actually over a year, but I guess you could say officially today.
Yeah, I don't see them getting rid of their titles, though. They'll still be calling themselves Lord and Lady and whatever. Royal
probably.
For a while, yeah.
We call them something else here, and not a word that I can say on the news. But, let's just say I would refer to them with something that rhymes with truckers.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. I refer to them as the truckers. Yeah. No offense to truckers,
real truckers.
People that drive a truck for a living. No. Transportation specialists. No, right. Not the same.
Right.
So that was the big news for today. So as far as our solar eclipse that we have coming up, I would say you don't have anything to worry about. There is not going to be a genocide event of humans on that day. We are not having any aliens from the lower astral come back and try to renew an agreement. There will not be, mainly because there aren't any.
Not those kind.
There aren't any. So we don't see anybody trying to own Earth at this time. But it also should explain to you why, if you are here or speaking to folks from other locations, why some people have the original remnants of the Pleiadian race, not the anti-Pleiadians. I'm talking about the Pleiadians that now are from like Alcyon and other star systems communicating with you, probably because you are from there.
Yeah.
You might have been from Alcyon because that is also a location that fought in the original war. Okay. It was actually started originally by the Pleiadians fighting against the Red Queen. Mm-hmm. That's how it originally started. You could have been talking, I know there's a lot of people here that talk about the Draco, but most likely if you're talking about the Draco and you're with the Order of the Dragon or have participated in those programs, you are talking about lower astral Draco. You're not talking about the actual Draco. Because I remember even in my conversations after Anu died, and I was having conversations with the Draco Queen, she wasn't real happy with what had happened here.
Yeah, she said so.
Yeah. Well, and after Marduk had passed, and Enki and Enlil had passed, that's why she went back to repair her own galaxy. Mm-hmm. That makes more sense to me now than it did then at the time, on why things were so bad there. And it would have been nice in all the conversations I had with all these different groups in the Universal Council, that they, kind of told us what happened. I didn't even find out what really happened here. I knew about the war. I knew about the reptilians. I knew about the name Atlantis, being of a ship that arrived full of reptiles.
Yeah.
So I don't know, at the time, I guess you could say that humans lived differently. So if people talk about the time of Atlantis, you're talking about a time where we knew how to use crystals. We had a dark age going on. Very true. And it had extended throughout the multiverse for a time. But, another war after we had already been conquered the first time, second time, third time, and then we had other problems again about 16,000 years ago. So, I it would have been nice of anyone to fill in the details. But for some reason, no one bothered. They just told me whatever happens here happens everywhere. Well, why? I'm going back probably 5 years. Why didn't the council tell me about it then? Mm-hmm. When I became an ambassador, why did they not tell me? But I guess there's some things you just have to find out on your own, or remember, or get the wisdom like at the right time. It always comes at the right time. Mm-hmm. I never get the information beforehand for some reason. So that's today's information. I'm like, why is everybody, I knew that they were up to something yesterday. Way too much chatter, way too much ego in the chatter. They seemed very confident that something exciting was going to happen, and this would allow them to regain control.
So when we say they now, who really is they? Are we mainly talking about SSP?
Yeah, remaining members, there's not that many. Remember, there's just a few. There are some operatives that decided to join back with them. There are the black nobility, is still some of them, the families, I should say, not the heads, but the families are still around. The Silent Circle has taken over them officially. All those families. And they also were waiting for an event to happen today. That didn't happen. So I know, very interesting.
So why Ides of March and Julius Caesar? Is this them just kind of carrying on? You know how it trickles through our history and it shows up in different places, but we're not really sure why?
Well, although the largest event that we have seen in human history, as far as a genocidal event, happened at that time, all those years ago, we still had genocide light, is what I call it, every 2016 years. So it wasn't a complete, wipe out of the population. It wasn't but we definitely had events that occurred in wars, large wars that occurred, not necessarily involving others per se. Pandemics, the big flood, the big flood that happened on one of those cycles 16,000 years ago, actually 18,000 years ago, because we as humans were almost completely wiped out during that time when we lost our moon. Mm-hmm. So we have seen those events in an uptick around every 2016 years or so go on throughout history. You remember about 2,000 years ago, we had Easter, the death of Christ, based on different calendars, several calendars ago. That would put us at about 2016 years ago. So there is a lot of correlation between events that we see in our history, maybe a few years off here and there. The events that happen with, some of the Bible stories we heard about around that time too. I died so you didn't have to. Remember that? Mm-hmm. Not me per se, but the person we know as Jesus or Yeshua, depending on who you are. In the Bible. So was there going to be another complete or a genocide light during that time? Most likely, for sure.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, yeah, when was the last time we had a pretty big one?
The largest one that I know of was the one where that happened 18,000 years ago. That was the largest one that I know of that happened since this war. That was, that was the Great Flood, the real Great Flood. Mm-hmm. And, there weren't very many humans left walking the earth for sure. Again, there was an event where people had gone underground for safety. And that's when they brought us our fake moon that we have today, about 2,000 years later. So it lasted a long time. That was a long one for sure. Then they started rebreeding, in their likeness, of course, and started the line again, their line again. Is that part of the real reason why, supposedly it was 2 by 2? Is that the reason? I mean, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I can try to find out, but but definitely it's been genocide event ever since then, constantly over and over and over again. But no longer.
And what would have been, what's the purpose behind the genocide? Is it to bring our numbers down, to control us better? Is it appeasal for these demon gods?
Well, they need a certain amount of human batteries. Remember that. So there's only a certain amount they actually need here.
Okay.
And when their brood, so to speak, is outnumbered by our kind, is usually when they start a genocide event.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Bring us down.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
Yeah.
So that's what the deep state is expecting. They're expecting to have this happen again. They were expecting some orders and contracts today based on the new covenant that they didn't get. Mm-hmm. And now maybe they're, be great if they decided to have some common sense and give up. But I don't see that happening. Yeah. Nope. They also were expecting money for it too.
Of course.
Yeah. Club of Rome was putting their hand out this morning at about 10 o'clock this morning, Eastern time, along with the Federal Reserve, trying to re-up their contract.
You mean they were submitting to the Hall of Records?
Of course they were.
Okay.
Still me, guys. Still me. Still me.
Are you still, is there still like a little note or something that says, you realize it's still me, right? Still me.
Yeah, still me. Still me. Yep. Still me. Well, I think that they were expecting it to be somebody else.
Yeah.
I don't think they really understood or actually acknowledged the fact that they have been in a battle. This has actually been a real war. I don't think they even know who they're fighting against. Mm. This is humans against humans is what it's down to now. It wasn't in the beginning. We already conquered all the other people.
Yeah.
All the ones that could have possibly come back, and the gateways and the portals and access points and AI system after AI system after AI system. It's taken a lot to get to this point to where we wouldn't have been affected on a day like today. Mm-hmm. There's no one coming back because we worked really, really hard to make it happen. And when I say we, yes, okay, it's myself, it's a small team, but you also have Source in there. You also have lots of visitors here that are here for this type of a reason, not necessarily to handle your political issue. They are here to ensure, that there was not going to be another war. Probably the same reason why a lot of you are here. If you're watching this, you're probably watching it from a standpoint of, I'm here because of this. Yeah. So I would say there's a lot of humans as well that participate, and each in their own way. Mm-hmm. We definitely have a lot of talented people out there that send me messages, all the time. This is what we saw today, and a lot of it's right on to what I was doing today. So, and thank you, and I appreciate those, and I appreciate your help. So if you have been helping in the cleanup, then I just want to say thank you. But as far as other cleanup events that took place, mainly in the last 48 hours, it was all about any kind of various creator AIs in locations on Earth they were going to. So we were we were kind of chasing them around the planet, and then we decided to stop doing that, and we just decided to get all the different facilities that they could possibly go to next, that they may or may not have heard about. Back to Antarctica, just lovely place down there. Arctic Circle, Uganda, Mount Gessi, Gessi, yeah. McGuire Mountain in Montana, Midtree in Norway, Midtree, Midtre. So if you're looking for places around the world where bad things were happening, there you go. We were also in Azerbaijan yesterday. We were in Israel. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of this mountain or hill. It's actually pretty small. Afghanistan, Angola, Luxembourg. I know that's a big surprise. Rothschild headquarters. Mount Etna, to Mount Kailash again in India. Well, disputed India, let's just say, because it's Tibet. So China would say it's China. India says it's, and then they deployed all those troops recently in the last 24 hours, I think, to the border there. Probably looking for this facility, my guess would be. Or they were looking to see if there was going to be an invasion in the Himalayas. That was a big portal there for the ones that came through the Orion Nebula, one of the largest in the world there. But now they're all kind of standing there. Nothing happened. I guess the humans were going to fight the others. My understanding is the SSP and, of course, the Order of the Black Sun, whatever's left of it, the Black Silent Circle now, I guess, is running that show. And the Order of the Dragon were going to fight on their side. They decided, against the light.
Gosh, I keep making bad decision after bad decision.
Well, again, they're going off of knowledge. They're going off of old knowledge, events, and then they create all this fear online and on social media and TikTok. We're all going to die. Whatever happened to kids putting together the little boxes so you could watch the eclipse, whatever happened to that? Nowadays it's like, prep your food, 3 days of darkness. We're all going to die, No, we're not going to die. Nothing is going to happen. You're going to wake up and you're going to see something really cool in the sky. So get your glasses. It's cool. And then that's it. You're going to go about the rest of your day.
Yeah.
That's all that's going to happen. It's terrible what they try to do to manipulate humans. We truly are a remarkable race, and I'm kind of partial to humans being one and all, but at least this time, but there's a lot of things I don't say on the news, things that have happened, things that I've seen, things that we've prevented, and I almost feel sometimes that if I did tell you everything, I don't know if we'd crawl into a corner or a closet and not come out, or what would happen. Because if people really only knew what they did to us, right, and we're still here.
Yeah.
The stuff you see on alt media, the stuff they spray in the skies and stuff, that's nothing compared to what these folks have done to us throughout the years. Genetic manipulations, creations of diseases in the first place. And it isn't, yes, we still had the Nazi programs running and Project Paperclip and all of that, but they've been doing this for thousands of years. This is not the first time. And this is not the first genocide we've ever been through as human beings. But hopefully we'll never have another one. I don't see anything happening in the next 30 days that is beyond what the normal, folks are trying to do. So I'm pretty sure we'll be okay, but you should be proud of yourselves and, pat yourselves on the back. We made it. We made it through to the end of the covenant. We have not all died. Yes, we've had some rough times in the last couple of years, and as they were prepping for their big event. But, there's a quote that, if it's okay with you, I'll read. It's not my quote, but it came up recently for me, and I'm like, this is so true. Okay. When we forgive, we reclaim the power to create. We can create a new relationship with the person who has hurt us or not. We can create a new story of ourselves. When we find the strength to forgive, we are no longer victims. We are survivors. And this kind of goes along with the knowledge and wisdom we've been talking about, the narcissists, all of these people. And it can also relate on a much larger scale to the deep state, why they do what they do. I'm not saying you need to invite them over for dinner or anything like that, but remember, holding on to dark thoughts about people, holding on to anger, anger about governments and elections and all the things that people argue about all the time. It only creates a situation within yourself in which it's harder to create.
Yeah.
I can look back at all these stories and, look at the carnage and all the things that have happened to us over the years or happened here on Earth, and not just us as humans, but others as well throughout the multiverse, and say, well, this was terrible. This was a tragedy. This was, but I'm really looking forward to creating.
Yeah.
I don't see myself sitting down with any of those people anytime soon and having a coffee. No, not at all. But, you just got to let it go. Prevent them from creating more damage and let it go. And they too need to let it go because they're not going anywhere.
I also think learning from this is important too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's important for us to have the information, I think, so we don't let this kind of thing happen again. We have to remember.
Yep.
That's part of it too.
Yeah. And it is important for us to remember the fight and the battle. As a young kid, probably about, maybe about 13, 14 years old, I used to have a reoccurring dream. And in the dream, I was fighting against people that didn't look like people in black suits with very white, pale skin. And in my childhood, I thought, or I should say, I would have thought of them as vampires, like your classic movie vampires. And that's where I classified these people in my mind.
Okay.
But in the battles I would have against these people, which it happened over and over and over again, and now it makes more sense to me, I would fight these people with crystals. Meaning I would have crystals in my hands and I would use them almost like swords. And not from the standpoint that I would cut them with crystals, and they were pretty large. They were probably about a foot long, and it would shoot light through the crystal at the beings, and that's how it would kill the beings.
Yeah.
And I remember at the time where I was a lot lighter, and so the being looked tremendously dark to me that I was fighting. And there were a number of them, and I just remember it being a war. There was a lot of them, and there was a long war. So it makes sense to me when I heard all the story today, from started with source. But when I heard the story today about all the different things that have happened, that happened at that time, it made sense. So apparently I showed up here at that time too. I'm like, oh, that's what that reoccurring dream was. It really wasn't a dream. It really happened. Going back to that time and fighting the battles, and You know, if you've ever had dreams like that, or dreams of Atlantis, or visions or things, you know, at that time, you know, it's no surprise that you're probably an adrenaline junkie like me and decided to show up just in case it happened again. You know, 250,000 years later, you know, why not?
Why not? Just in case.
Why not? Exactly. But it's a good time to be here for restoration, you know, and moving forward with the full restoration of the planet. And I know everybody's looking forward to it, and so am I. I'm looking forward to the day where we can just forgive and forget and just create.
Yeah.
And just be the creators we really are. Mm-hmm. So, and that includes all of you. So that's about it for Wednesday's news. That's a lot of news. That's a little history and a little news.
I know, and everyone loves the history, so I'm glad we can leave it on a good note like that, because we've just been fed so many lies, you know. We're anxious to know what really happened and what led us here, so it's good.
Well, and we're still being fed those lies based on old knowledge. Times have changed, things have changed, covenants expired a year ago. You know, I don't know why you didn't figure that out then, like, because they want to continue to go off the old knowledge.
Yeah.
That they think is secret, hidden, special knowledge, but it's really not.
Occult, hidden knowledge. Yeah.
Well, exactly. Them and their hidden knowledge, and us and our wisdom.
Yep.
So don't buy into the fear. That's all I'm saying. But enjoy the, you know, solar eclipse. It's kind of cool.
What day is that supposed to happen?
It's April 8th.
April 8th. Okay.
Yes. And so I'm mentioning it now, you know, almost a full month ahead of time, because the rhetoric out there is getting bad, really bad. We're all going to die. You know, we're in their world, we're all going to die of something, but it just proves who owns the alt media to you.
I know. I don't even pay attention to them anymore. I don't check out any of that stuff because it's just the same stuff over and over again.
It just feels bad. I'd rather go create something.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in my spare whatever time that is, you know, 5-7 minutes a day. No, it's not that bad. It's, you know, I do have a little bit of time, but I've been really working with the oils. I've got them all here now. So I'm from many different places in the world, from Egypt to South Africa to, you know, so I'm excited about that. I've been creating new blends and healing things, and, you know, been working on that, listening to some music at night, you know, when I'm done with the rest of the stuff, unless it's a long day, which happens once in a while.
Sounds like a little lab. You got a little lab going on.
I do. I do.
I do think you do belong in a lab. I think when all this is over, that's probably what that kind of stuff that you're going to do. You're going to create, and that's what I see.
And that's what I've always wanted to do. For a while there, I got so sick and tired of talking to the deep state folks and people going around in a circle. You know, I thought a yurt in Siberia would be nice for a lab. You know, just drop me off in a helicopter and supplies every 3 months and I'm good to go. You know, I've thought about that. I thought about that a lot, you know, a lot. Like a lot, because nobody wants to go there. It's too cold, you know. It's not like if they drop me off on a tropical island, I'll still have people show up. So I figure if I just go live in frigid, you know, non-human cold temperatures in a nice little yurt, no one's going to bother me.
Yurt.
Yeah, they make nice yurts.
I'm sure.
They do.
I have a personal experience with that, but I'm sure.
Yeah, and they're warm too. Okay. You know, they can be warm. You know, I'll be fine. But turns out, you know, maybe Source has a different plan. But that's okay. But anyway, yes, I do want to work in a lab, to answer your question. I want to create all day. That's all I want to do. I want everybody to leave me alone and create. So I'm excited about, you know, I'm having a lot of fun working with them and, you know, testing out different things and different, you know, roll-ons, different blends. I've been experimenting with the use of oils on the feet, which is something that we at UNN have not talked about before, and the combination of oils with reflexology as well to affect the different organs of the body and how to heal the different organs of the body with using oils on your feet. So yeah, I'm having fun.
Good.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Good. Yay.
I know. Well, I guess have a lovely weekend, Miss Sunny.
Yes, you too. You too.
And I will see you on Monday.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kim. Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. We would love for you to create a short video, about 30 to 45 seconds, telling us why you watch UNN. Our social media team will turn your videos into short promos we'll be posting on our social media channels. You can submit these videos the same way you submit Field Messenger reports, through our website or via email at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth. You'll also find our UNN meme of the day on our social media channels. It's a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all of our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website, which is unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together. And that wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record it and share it with us so we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.